It's really a pleasure to be here and an honor to be back at Duke. And I think the Billions to Trillions Summit is just a terrific event. I've been before, and I hope to come back again. So thanks for having me. I think the conversations today have been both serious and really forward-looking. And if there's one thing that I'm taking away from the discussions that I've been a part of today, it's this: that the future of clean energy won't be decided by the news headlines. Instead, it will be decided by capital and by leadership and by whether we're able to take action at the pace and scale that's required to do what we need fast enough and to scale what is already proven and is already out there and working. Yes, we do face headwinds. There's political volatility, as we've heard, and yes, we are seeing efforts to reinforce legacy energy systems. But when you step back from the noise, a different story really does come into focus. Clean energy is scaling faster than many predicted. Capital is shifting, markets are adjusting. Cities, states, utilities, and companies are planning for a lower carbon future, not because it sounds good, but because it makes good economic sense. Clean energy is no longer just the right thing to do. It's increasingly the smart thing to do for competitiveness, for security, for resilience, for long-term growth. And it's worth noting that there's this structural shift underway that makes this moment even more consequential. For years, climate action has been framed as a transition away in a flat energy world, swapping one source for another. And that's no longer the case. For the first time in decades, demand in the US and other developed economies is growing again. And it's growing because of data centers and because of AI, but also because of advanced manufacturing, because of electrification of buildings and vehicles and industry. Demand is rising not because we're going backwards, but because our economies are modernizing. We're entering an era of structural demand growth, and the scale of investment required to meet that demand is enormous. Clean energy is not a niche market, it's core infrastructure. And the question is not whether demand will grow, it will. The question is what we build in order to meet it. And importantly, capital markets are already answering that question. So many of you may have seen, according to Bloomberg New Energy Finance's 2026 Energy Transition Investment Trends Report, global investment in clean energy and low carbon infrastructure reached a record high, first ever time, of $2.3 trillion in 2025, up 8% from the prior year. And for the second year in a row, spending on new clean energy exceeded investments in fossil fuel supplies, and that gap widened to more than $100 billion. That means that more capital is now flowing into the energy transition than into new oil, gas, and coal infrastructure. Investors are not allocating at that scale because of charity. They're doing it because cost curves have shifted, because risk profiles have shifted, and because long-term competitiveness has shifted. Markets are voting with dollars. That's why I remain optimistic. I'm not blindly optimistic, and I'm certainly not complacent. The emissions that we're facing are still too high. The climate impacts, as we see, are devastating. They're disrupting lives and economies in real time ever more, and progress is uneven. But the solutions exist, and they're improving rapidly. The real question is whether we can deploy them at the scale and speed that the moment that we're in demands. The gap between what is possible and what is financed, that's where the next decade will be decided. In the United States, one reason for confidence is that climate progress does not hinge on a single election or a single level of government. States are moving, cities are moving, businesses and investors are moving, and utilities are planning multi-decade transitions that outlast political cycles. Increasingly, climate action aligns with economic growth and job creation, and we see every day how powerful that alignment can be. Through Bloomberg Philanthropies' support for non-federal coalitions, we're seeing mayors and governors that are turning commitments into really measurable results in their cities and states and localities. Voters in 3 cities have approved ballot measures unlocking $35 billion for clean transportation over the next 30 years. That means cleaner air, it means modernized infrastructure, it means getting working people to their jobs more quickly and cleanly. Another municipal example, in Cleveland, a retired landfill became a solar farm, turning a liability into an asset. These aren't symbolic gestures, they're proof points. And proof points matter, because once something works in one place, it becomes replicable. It reduces perceived risk. It attracts capital, and it accelerates momentum. Globally, the stakes are even higher. As we know, the fastest growth in demand is happening in emerging and developing economies. And our climate future depends on whether that demand is met with clean, affordable energy or locked into high emissions infrastructure for decades to come. The good news is technology is not the constraint. Clean energy is cheaper and more scalable than ever, and financial institutions are looking at that opportunity. What's often missing is the enabling conditions that we've talked about today. We've heard about the need for policy consistency and clarity, for grid modernization, risk-sharing tools, and patient capital. Across our work at Bloomberg Philanthropies, we work to focus on leverage over volume. And we fund enabling conditions that allow governments and investors and communities to move further and faster together. We do this through policy support for energy transitions that are aligned with economic opportunities, through campaigns for moving from coal to clean energy, through data, transparency, and accountability. And the good news is we're really seeing that when those things come into alignment, big changes happen. So just a couple of examples where we've seen this work just in the last 6 months. Solar has increased to roughly 10% of South Africa's generating capacity, up from practically nothing in just 2019. In Australia, wind, solar, and batteries supplied more than half of all the electricity in the national electricity market for the first time ever in 2025. And in November, South Korea committed to shut down its coal power by 2040 and sent a powerful signal to developers and paved the way for renewable energy to take an even greater share of the energy mix in that country and region. So let me close with this. The future is not pre-written. It will be shaped by where capital flows, by how we share risk, and by whether we are able to build the durable coalitions that outlast political cycles. Optimism is not wishful thinking, it's a strategic choice. Cynicism slows capital. Confidence mobilizes it. And in a moment that calls for billions to become trillions, confidence, grounded in evidence, reinforced by markets, and paired with action, may be one of our very most powerful tools. Thank you.